For the latest in strategic affairs, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the bell icon for updates.
Hello and welcome to Strat News Global. Last week, the Indian Air Force carried out 3 different missions on a distance that is normally not imaginable in normal circumstances. What were those missions? What did they signify? And why were they carried out is something that I'm going to speak about in this week's Simply Nitin. I'm Nitin Gokhale. So the air forces around the world are known to be force enablers with greater reach than any other forces like the army or the navy. They are faster, they are more lethal and act as a deterrent to anybody's adversary. India, with 2 major adversaries on its west and in the north, also has potential threat coming from the oceans, either the Indian Ocean or in the Bay of Bengal and even to the east of Bay of Bengal in the Malacca Straits. Those adversaries are well known, but what is the role of the Indian Air Force? The Indian Air Force, of course, has undergone tremendous change in its doctrinal approach, and the recent crisis with China in Ladakh along the line of actual control brought in the role of the Indian Air Force in stark contrast to what it was earlier, when the Air Force was not seen as a primary deterrent against China. Mostly it was land conflict with China that actually was more focused on. But given what the Air Force has done in the past 4 or 5 years, the Balakot airstrikes, of course, were a prime example of what Air Force can achieve, or Air Force aircraft, fighter aircraft can achieve. The change in outlook amongst common people, not the strategic thinkers or the decision makers, but amongst common people, there is much more interest about what the Indian Air Force does. And therefore, what I'm going to tell you is the details of what these missions were in the past 1 week. The first mission was to the Gulf of Aden, west of India, over the Arabian Sea and going into the Persian Gulf, near the Strait of Hormuz, but especially Gulf of Aden, which is a main sea line of communication where India's exports and imports pass through. India's energy security is also dependent on how quickly commercial ships carrying India's oil requirement or crude oil requirement come from west to east towards India, and India's exports going to the west, to Europe and other places. Now, that is India's area of interest, area of influence in many ways. So, it can be called India's extended neighborhood in many ways. So, the mission to the Gulf of Aden included 4 Sukhoi 30 MKI aircraft, besides a couple of Jaguars and a C-130, which is a strategic airlift, medium airlift aircraft, which has proved its worth in several crises over the past couple of years, evacuating people from Afghanistan, even during natural calamities. All that is very well known to you. Besides these aircraft, there were combat enablers like the air-to-air refuelers, basically the IL-78s that were there. But more than that, the AWACS, the early warning and control aircraft, and the airborne electronic warfare and control aircraft, besides the 2 refuelers, provided the support to the mission. Now, the total mission time of flying from taking off from whatever airfield in Western India, going up to Gulf of Aden and coming back was, according to reports and some of the inputs that I have, was 7 hours, and it entailed flying time of flying time of 7 hours, and the distance was about 5,600 kilometers in one go. Now, that's something that normally the fighter aircraft don't undertake but Air Force wanted to validate some of his concepts, some of his doctrines, and also give its own crew and pilots the confidence that it can be done after taking the support of the combat enablers. So that was the first mission. The second mission was to the east of India, to the Malacca Straits. That mission included the newly inducted Rafale aircraft, which took off from Hashimara, which is their second base in eastern India. And from there, the aircraft, the Rafale aircraft, besides one Su-30 MKI, another C-130 aircraft, and supported by the same combat enablers that I spoke about, it went to the outer limits of the eastern Indian Ocean region. And of course, there is Malacca Straits east of the Indian Ocean region. The AWAC, one AWAC and two air-to-air refuelers, of course, were used, as I mentioned. Even here, the flying time was 7 hours. And the total distance that the aircraft flew from going from Hashimara to that place and coming back via the Andaman Sea, via the Andaman Nicobar Island, and going through what is called adversaries, mock creation or recreation of adversary fighting the aircraft going through that screen. If the adversaries were trying to intercept these aircraft, that kind of scenario was played, and these aircraft went through that kind of screen, you can say, and then went up to the easternmost stretch of the Indian Ocean region and came back. So again, 5,500 kilometers, 5,600 kilometers of 5,500 kilometers of flying the Rafale aircraft did, which is again pushing it to the extreme of its endurance and its staying ability. But more interesting for me, maybe because of the geography involved here, was the third mission, and that is going south of Maldives. In fact, the four Sukhoi 30 MKI aircraft went south of Maldives, again supported by combat enablers, the flight refueler aircraft IL-78, and they went 3 degrees south of the equator, which is southern Indian Ocean, and overflying the Maldivian and the Sri Lankan airspace. They went further down south and flew for 7 hours. If the earlier two missions were for 5 hours each, or 7 hours of course, and flew for 7 hours again, and the total distance was a little less here, 5,400 kilometers. But the important part here was that these aircraft went right up to the southern Indian Ocean, which is again India's area of interest, because India also is the partner of choice, security partner of choice for many nations around it, Maldives, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, you name it, and these countries want India to be part of their support system, Indian Air Force, Indian Army, Indian Navy, all of them. So therefore, this was an important mission that they flew. What was the importance of these missions? One, it validated the doctrines, as I mentioned. It also supported the theory that air-to-air refuelers will enable stretching the legs, as it were, of the aircraft's endurance capability of flying long hours, which was proved. The strategic footprints then get expanded because after all, the responsiveness and firepower that the Air Force provides gives that edge to India to have that credible deterrence against any designs that adversaries may have, and therefore this was proved. Of course, India is short of air-to-air refuelers. It needs to buy them in large numbers. It also needs AWACS in larger numbers and AWECs AEWCs in the larger numbers. And therefore, by validating these concepts, the Air Force is now making a case that these combat enablers, apart from the fighter jets that India hopes to buy or is planning to buy, are also equally important, equally critical in the force structure that the Indian Air Force needs to have. if it has to take on, let's say, the Western and the Northern adversary, Pakistan and China respectively, and make sure that the Indian Ocean region is also kept secure and safe. And by doing these exercises, like what the Navy did in terms of 2 carrier battle groups operating simultaneously in the Arabian Sea around the same time, the Air Force has actually projected India's reach, India's power, and India's ability to go beyond the normal parameters that everybody expects the Indian Air Force to operate in. This was the message. I think there were multiple objectives in this, but most important, which I am leaving it towards the end, is the human endurance. Fighter pilots who actually fly these aircraft, or every pilot who flies different aircraft in this scenario of 7 hours of non-stop flying, going to areas which they haven't been to. In fact, there was probably an element which has not been said publicly, an element of testing live weapons or dropping the bomb in a certain designated area, maybe in the open sea, was also included in this exercise. Now, the most important factor here is the human element. To endure 7 hours of non-stop concentrated flying, which requires total concentration on the entire flying exercise when you handle these sophisticated and expensive aircraft, that was also proven, and those pilots will of course remain anonymous. Nobody will know except in the Air Force who they were, but they are also our real heroes, which we should take into account when we think of Indian military men and women in the duty of the nation or for duty securing India's interests, not just along India's borders or India's maritime borders, but also beyond them. That is the point that these 2 exercises, both by the Navy and the Air Force in quick succession, has probably proved. And I thought I will flag this, I will bring to your notice the kind of practice that Indian or any military around the world, military professionals have to carry out for keeping their edge, keeping their entire expertise in full form or at the best of their abilities. This practice is essential. And I think that is something that most of us in the civilian life do not understand, that the more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. It's an old saying, and that is something the military professionals do day in, day out, by practicing, by exercising, by validating the concepts that they come up with, and then proving their mettle when it comes to the crunch during real hot war, which might happen any time without warning, and therefore they have to keep their powder dry, and that's exactly what they've done through this exercise. That's all I have this week. I thought I'll just bring this to your notice and tell you how important these missions are, how these exercises are, to make sure that India is safe and secure, and all of us feel completely secure because these people are practicing, they're keeping their professional abilities honed every time they are flying in these aircraft. Do keep watching Stat News Global. You know where to reach us. Of course, your comments are always valuable. And we will try and bring you new aspects of India's strategic culture, India's military power, India's new foreign policy, or tweaking the foreign policy, the old foreign policy, and how India is approaching the flux in the geopolitical situation, and how everybody is on the ball, keeping an eye on fast-changing geopolitical and geo-economic situation across the globe. That's all I have. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll meet again next Saturday on another edition of Simply Nitin. Till then, it's goodbye.